who is the kind of faculty and the kind of background that comes from. And secondly, of course, in the classroom, you have the people from the Vietnams, and then there'll be people kind from other parts of the world, which gives kind of a rich experience.
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, faculty wise, I said earlier we have 40, but I think it's close to 50 or 60 faculty now. And there's no country that dominates. So you'd imagine that we're in Thailand, we might have a dominance of Thai faculty, but that's not the case. Of those 50 or 60, I would say we've got 5 or 6 who are Thai. But we've got tonight, we've got Tobias from Germany. I'm from the UK. We have faculty from our head of our PhD DBA program is Dr. Badir, who's from North Africa. We have faculty and supervisors from the US, from Hong Kong, from Australia, from Singapore, from Denmark, from all over the place. So the faculty that's involved in the running of the School of Management is incredibly diverse. The students are not quite as diverse, but they're still diverse. When you look across all of our 370 students, you've got, I'd say about 40% are from Thailand, but the remaining 60% come from around about 20 other countries. So for the students that will be joining this particular program, although they'll be on what's called the APIT track, and they're likely to be mostly Sri Lankans together, you will have opportunities every 2 weeks to go through and mingle with the students that are on the other programs, which we have a regular guest speaker session that usually takes place on a Wednesday evening by somebody who is a chief executive type level from industry. And then we have some sort of mixer events with those on the other DBA programs. We have a DBA program in Hanoi, one in Ho Chi Minh City.
Good evening, everyone. We will be in the platform for a few minutes until all our viewers come on board. Okay, so good evening to all of you who are joining us today, and a warm welcome on behalf of APIT Sri Lanka and to another session of MBA Diaries, where you will be meeting an expert. And today's session is going to be not just one expert, but of course, a panel of global experts who would talk to you about the importance of education in terms of professional education and experience. So as Asia Pacific Institute of Information Technology, known as APIT Sri Lanka, we are honored to host this session today to expand the horizons of education while giving the opportunity for everyone who's interested to get the information. And let me warmly welcome the members of the panel who will be shortly officially introduced by Dr. Rohan Thatukorala, who is the pioneering personality behind this series of discussions that we host on behalf of APIT platform. And we also welcome all the students who are in the platform today, along with the delegates, along with all the other VIPs who are joining us from all around the world. And today is going to be a discussion which is going to be very relevant to all of us, where we are talking about discussions and challenges globally and nationally for us as Sri Lanka as well. So having said that, to start off with the session, let me invite Dr. Rohan Thatukorala, Director of Asia Pacific Institute of Information Technology, to take over the conversation, introducing our guests, and to continue the session with that. Dr. Rohan, over to you.
Thank you very much, Kaushali, and it's excellent to meet up with you. We've been challenged with many issues, but yet we continue our overall goal that we have decided to pursue. So let me introduce to you one of a top personality from one of the best universities in the world, which is at AIT, who is Dr. Roger Levermore, who is the Dean School of Management, Asian Institute of Technology in Bangkok and Thailand. And then of course we'll have our panel who will come in, also people from very senior in AIT. So can I now hand over to Dr. Roger? Over to you, Doctor.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rahant, and hello and good evening to everybody. And thank you for joining us wherever you are around, primarily around Sri Lanka. And we read about it every day in the papers, and we really go through and hope things get better where you are. The reason that I'm in front of you today is that last year we started a relationship with APIT to go through and develop a DBA program where we encouraged applications to come through via APIT, and we work with a partnership together to go through and discuss that. So I'm going to be sharing a few slides about the DBA program. And for me, the key speaker this evening is going to be my colleague, Dr. Tobias Endres, who is going to be talking about his journey from being a senior practitioner who did a DBA and then is now become a supervisor of DBA students. And he'll be talking about what it's like to go through and do a DBA and some of the research that's required in the DBA journey. So I think that's really important. My role today is just to talk a little bit about AIT and to talk about the structure of the DBA program. And then after me, my colleague, Dr. Tobias, and then Amelia will be talking to you about some of the requirements from English language, because you're talking about writing 60,000 words for a DBA. And that requires a particular skill set that he'll be talking to you about as well. And for those that want to apply for the DBA program, what are some of the admissions requirements, which include English language as well. So if you don't mind, I will start sharing my slides now. And this will be just about 12 slides to talk about AIT and about where we're based and some of our strengths. So for me, this is about giving you information on the DBA program at AIT. And I think throughout Sri Lanka, many people know about this university, but for those that haven't really heard about us, we are 63 years of age. We deal with MBA, MSc, PhD, and DBA students, no undergraduates. We are an international English-speaking university that's based in 2 centers in Bangkok and 2 centers in Vietnam. The focus of the university for those 63 years has been development, economic, technology, and social development throughout Asia. And a lot of our alumni that have graduated over those 6 decades, they are now people in positions of power who are developing their countries, their cities. So overall, the university has got 3 schools, over 30 academic programs, 25,000 alumni, and we span over 100 countries. At the moment, we have over 1,500 students. Everything that we do is conducted in English. When it comes to our ranking in the business school, we have our MBA program, which is ranked, and it's ranked #1 in Thailand for the last 2 years and top 20 in Asia for the last 2 years by QS. The university, because of our focus on development, has been ranked number 15 this year by the Times Higher Sustainability Rankings. I think one of the attractive features of our programs is that students that want to complete the DBA and our other programs, they can do that from the comfort of their home if they want to. They can work Monday to Friday, and then they do the classes for the DBA, the classes in the first year at the weekend, and some of the classes take place in the evenings as well. But most of our DBA students just get taught over the weekends. So it's we have a flexible mode. But we also realize that an attraction of our program is the ability to come over and spend some time in Bangkok if you want to. And we actually have a few people here at the moment from Sri Lanka who are basing themselves either at the main campus, which is 40 kilometers north of downtown, which is in lush countryside, or they come over and live in downtown Bangkok. And our campus in downtown Bangkok is in the center top of this particular slide in a place called Column Tower, which is in Sukhumvit in downtown Bangkok. So attractive destinations to come to for 1 week or 1 month as you go through the DBA program. The School of Management, we've doubled in size in the last 2 years. A lot of our students come from science, technology, engineering type backgrounds. We've also recruited widely. We've got many new faculty, including Dr. Tobias, who's with us tonight. So they span Europe, Asia, Africa, Australia, et cetera, and apart from the DBA program, we have another 10 programs within the School of Management. But this evening, and the rest of these slides are focused on our DBA program, and it is flexible. We get a lot of our students that live outside of Bangkok to do this, and the program we're focused on this evening is for those that come through the APIT route. We're looking for 10 as a minimum to start the program this year. We had 6 that joined, 6 people from Vietnam in October last year. So this is the second cohort that we're looking to go through and see on the program. And it will be opened when we get those 10 students. And given the situation in Sri Lanka, that might be a little bit later on this year, but we are flexible and we're prepared to start when we get those 10 students that can join the DBA. So I'll be talking about the DBA, but some of what I talk about also relates to our PhD program, because there's a lot of similarity between the two. These programs traditionally get people with a lot of experience. So the average age across all of our DBAs is 40 plus. And the structure of the program is that in the first year, there are 6 research methods classes or courses that take place over the weekends. Every course is 22 hours of contact time first year, Saturdays and Sundays. And then in year 2, year 3, you conduct your work with your research supervisor, either in person or via Zoom. So that's the structure of the DBA program. It usually takes around about 3.5 to 4.5 years to complete a PhD or DBA. A PhD requires closer to 100,000 words for the thesis. A DBA is 66 credits. That's closer to about 60,000 or so words. We do accept people who don't have a master's program, master's degree, but they have to take an additional 6 credits to be able to go through and be on the DBA. Okay, so the type of courses that you take in the first year are going to be qualitative research, quantitative research, and also about the foundations of how you approach research and research writing as well. The quantitative ones focus on data strategies, hypothesis testing, and building models that link to theory. So those are the courses that take place in the first year. The second year, you get involved with collecting data, and then the third year, you analyze that and you write up your research. So that's the structure of a DBA. The big difference between a DBA and a PhD is one is the focus. A DBA is usually focused on more industry applicable kind of conclusions and takeaways. A PhD can be a little bit more philosophical and theoretical. The other difference is that to go through and exit, to graduate from a DBA, you need to pass your thesis, and that's it. For a PhD student, they also have to write a journal article in a good to high quality journal. That process can take 1 or 2 years sometimes. So there's a big difference between the PhD and DBA as far as graduation is concerned. And therefore, it's a little bit quicker for a DBA to be completed compared to a PhD. The requirements to get onto the DBA, for those of you interested, we look for people with a GPA of over 2.75 or above. For PhD applications, it can be a little bit higher than that. English language, which my colleague Emilio will be talking to you about a little bit later on. And importantly for DBA, we're looking for people with a minimum of 7 years of relevant work experience. Most of the students on the DBA are already in senior management or executive positions, and we need them to be mixing in the class because this is a high level DBA type program. Okay, that's my 12-minute overview of AIT, the School of Management, and the DBA program. I'll be happy to go through and answer questions a little bit later, but maybe it would be all right for me to introduce my colleague, Dr. Tobias Endres, who has gone on that DBA journey from being a practitioner to do his DBA, and then he's now a lecturer at AIT and he supervises DBA students. Is that okay, Dr. Rahanta, if Tobias speaks next?
That'll be fine, Doctor. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Tobias, over to you.
Okay, thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure. And I will also share just a few slides with you that outline a little bit my experience and what I figured and what I like about the DBA approach. So as Roger already mentioned, I'm not, now I'm a full-time academic, but in my previous life I was not. So I worked for about more than 20 years in the investment banking industry, and I was in charge for projects mainly focused in the area of digital transformation, a lot of trading activities, trading systems, including algorithmic trading for stock prices. And it was always driven by curiosity. And that was also one of the reasons why I decided I want to learn more about this process, and also with my master thesis before, I dig already into some of the topics in communications, in the financial community, and I wanted to explore more, and the DBA gave me a platform to do so. So I did my DBA in a rather similar program to that one that runs on AIT. I did it at the University of Gloucestershire in the United Kingdom. And for me, it was a very positive experience. As Roger already mentioned, one of the features of the DBA is that in the cohort, in your fellow students, they are very experienced, and that is maybe different from the experience that you have in different classroom settings when students are young and unexperienced. So they bring a lot of experience with you, and that gives a very strong network, and that can help a lot. Because people who subscribe for a DBA, they want to know more, they want to learn more. And that also increased my curiosity to pursue then even more, and to understand what is going on. So I think that DBA is really good if you want to go out of your comfort zone to some extent, if you want to question what is in your organization, and if your attitude is, oh, we did it always that way and we want to continue that way, then it's probably not for you. But if you think, okay, we are pretty good here, but it could be better, and I want to learn more, and you are curious about to find things out, and to enjoy a little bit the complexity, as here Gerd Gigerenzer, one of my favorite researchers about decision-making, highlights. It's about exploring new things and figure out what to do. And when you look in particular for the DBA program, then it's also really a program that is for working professionals designed. And that is something that might be slightly different. So it can be a path to academia, as it was for me. So I really like to work with students to discover new things, but I also and don't want to lose my connectivity with the industry, and I still do sometimes business consulting projects, and it's about applied knowledge, and it sometimes makes a EBA thesis much more interesting than a more theoretically heavy PhD thesis, because that people have already a vast experience from a business practice, and that gives sometimes a slightly different view on things, and is really something that can contribute to a very, very good contribution. And as the dean of my DBA program outlined, he considered the DBA actually as something like a PhD plus. So why PhD plus? Because it's if you look at the PhD, then the main focus is on the contribution to knowledge. And when you pursue your DBA, you also usually have a contribution to knowledge. You learn about the methods and you also increase your knowledge from the coursework. But what makes the DBA unique is that additional to the contribution of knowledge, you also have the contribution to business practice. And that's something that is not so necessary for the PhD, but that makes the DBA, in my opinion, for many people, the more interesting program, because it opens more opportunities for you. You can apply the knowledge in your business, you can continue in your business, but it also opens your career path in academia, in consulting, or in many other fields. So it offers many options, and it's also a flexible program. And when you join AIT, you have a good chance that you have a say in what topic you want to pursue, and you can demonstrate that you are an world expert in that field. And when you graduate with your doctorate, then at that very moment, then there's probably no person in the world that knows more about the topic that you present than you do. And I think that is one of the unique features of a DBA program in general. And I think at AIT, we have a very strong DBA program, and the infrastructure and the institute gives you a very good environment to pursue and to actually do questions. And I just cite here one person you probably know, and curiosity and not to stop questioning, that is one of the important things, and it encourages doctoral students and DBA in particular about doing so. And for me, what I learned, and one of the main takeaways from the research journey, is becoming a reflective practitioner. What does it mean? Every research journey is different. Every person is different. Your background is different. You will work with different research questions, different methods, but there are several elements that are quite typical for a DBA research. That is that you work in real world settings. So you have the contribution to business practice, and you already have a vast knowledge, and that's a value that we build on. That's why one of the requirements for the DBA is that you bring the business experience to the classroom, and to build on that, to share it with your cohort, with your fellow students, that hopefully will be a strong network developed in this. And you will learn to become a reflective practitioner. So to apply, to learn from what you do, to change, to experience new things, and to learn how to apply this in the business practice. It is about gaining a more comprehensive understanding of research methods. You will learn this in different sessions, and there will be different formats like colloquiums and other forms where you can exchange knowledge with your peers and with the supervisor. And that gives hopefully a good platform for you for personal development and developing the expertise that is relevant for your business. And last but not least, I hope that your research journey is also a little bit funny, and I like this quotation from Isaac Asimov. You might know him. He's also the inventor of the laws of the robotics, but he is also quite keen on that. It's not about like a crazy moment or lying under an apple tree and getting the, but it should be fun. And when you enjoy something, then it's actually a good way to discover new things, and it will be hopefully a good journey for you. And for me, it was a very positive experience to do the DBA program. I met up with a lot of people that helped me in my professional career, but also in my personal network. And it also opened for me the path to now join AIT as a full-time faculty and work with students and work on topics that I really like. So that's my takeaway from the DBA journey. And if you have any questions, then feel free to ask.
Maybe Dr. Rohanta, it's okay if we move on to Emilio to talk about English language, the importance of this for DBA thesis writing and the requirements to enter before we take any questions. Would that be okay, Rohanta?
Thank you so much, Doctor. That would be great.
Thank you. Emilio, over to you.
Hello, good evening, everyone. So thank you, Dr. Roger and Dr. Rohanta. So my role here for tonight is to guide you in our English proficiency requirement at AIT. So let me just share my slide. Okay. Okay, so I have prepared this just one slide, nothing difficult. So just to give you an idea of what we need from you guys, and hopefully you will join AIT really soon. Okay, so the first thing to look at this slide is we have actually 3 pathways in order for you guys to satisfy the English proficiency requirement for admission at AIT. The first one is the easiest one. So English proficiency test, as you can see, that's number 1. So we have 2 types. We have an internal exam and we have external exams. So for internal exam, I'm referring to our in-house exam. We call it the AIT English Entry Test, or for short, we call it EET. So it uses the scoring scale of 1 to 9. So in case you are wondering, so you can take this anytime. We have scheduled online tests. So it's done online, and we have schedules every week. So I think it won't be a difficult thing for you to schedule it. So, and then the testing fee is also included in that website. So we can provide you later on with the information. And the second one is what we call external exams. So right now we have 2 of them that are currently used by most of our students or applicants. So we have IELTS academic, and the second one is TOEFL IBT. So I think Dr. Roger mentioned something about TOEFL paper-based a while ago. So unfortunately, the TOEFL paper-based is not available anymore. So right now they're using 2 types of TOEFL. So it's the internet-based test, IBT. We also have the home edition. Okay, so those are the 2 types of TOEFL tests that you can submit to us. And after I've discussed the 3 pathways, I will talk about the different scores. Okay, so the second pathway is you can take the English Medium of Instruction certificate. So it's issued by your university registrar from your previous degree. So it's for applicants who receive a degree from a university that uses English as the sole medium of instruction. So you can request this from your former university and submit it to us. So it's based on a list of countries that use English as an official language. And when you are admitted at AIT with this certificate, during the first few weeks of your first semester, you will be required to take our academic writing placement tests. And the third pathway for you guys is the exemption from the English proficiency requirement. So this is in case for any applicants who has a citizenship from an English-speaking country like New Zealand, the UK, the USA, and the other countries we have. Okay, so going back to number 1, so about the scores, if you look at the left side of the slide, we have this box, required English test scores. So this is for both our EET, the in-house exam, and IELTS. So the first one is for AIT full scholarships, we require a test score of 6. Okay, so that is only for our AIT full scholarships. And the second one is you can be admitted if you get at least a writing score, in your case, so you're applying for a DBA program, 5.5. So I'm talking about, again, our 2 tests, EET and IELTS. So they're very similar. So our EET, by the way, is only composed of an academic essay writing part. Okay, so again, going back, so doctorate program, 5.5 minimum. Okay, so that's for admission. And in case you cannot meet this 5.5, so we do accept 5.0 for PhDs and doctorate programs, but you are required to enroll or register in our bridging program. Okay, so that will be on a case-to-case basis. So the school will decide on this score. Okay, so aside from IELTS, we also have our TOEFL exam. And if you're wondering about the equivalency scores, I can show you right now to just to give you a quick idea. Okay, so this is the table that we're using from our website. So these are the equivalency scores from IELTS, EET, and then we have TOEFL IBT. So these are the equivalent scores. So that's it for me, and I hope you will be applying really soon at AIT. Thank you.
Thanks, Emilio. Maybe I could just explain to everybody as well that I know that in Sri Lanka, people have got outstanding English for work and for previous academic studies. AIT expects every single person who comes in to have to be assessed for their English. And it's particularly important for a DBA that you have to write so many words, 60,000, and it's written in an academic style. And there's quite a big difference between academic writing and some business report writing. So every student, no matter where they're from, and no matter what their experience or their age, will be asked to do that. And Emilio and his team, they do run some sessions that can help people out just to get them to understand what's required for some of these tests. And they could do very well after they go to those type of sessions. So we've done that before for different people in Sri Lanka for other programs. So we'd be happy to go through, I'm talking for Emilio here, but I think we'd be fairly happy to go through and do that again later on this year.
Thank you. Just to add what Dr. Roger said a while ago, so we're planning to offer this DBA workshop series. So I hope for our potential applicants, you can also join that. So once you have decided to apply, thank you.
Good. Okay, Dr. Rahanta, over to you. And if you have any questions, then we're here to go through and help answer.
Thanks, Dr. Roger. The first question is coming from Manoj, who is actually a CEO of an apparel company. And he wants to know, he cannot climb in because he's having electricity power issue. So what he's asking is that, who will be the supervisor when it comes to the dissertation, because he's based in Sri Lanka?
Sure. So our plan is there's going to be two supervisors. One is going to be an AIT supervisor who has got knowledge and experience of supervising doctoral students. That will be either somebody who is what we call a regular faculty within AIT, who's based in Bangkok, or we have a team of other supervisors that at universities in the UK, in Denmark, and other countries around the world. So one of them will be an AIT supervisor, and we're planning to work with APIT to go through and have a local supervisor as well. It's important to say that DBA supervision only usually starts around about 12 to 15 months into a DBA. The first year is learning about research methods and to think about what topic you'd like to go through and focus on in depth. Then it's year 2, year 3 that you do the research and you do the write-up. So you're given, you go through and you kind of choose your supervisor. We have around about 20 or 25 AIT supervisors that twice a year do a presentation about the type of research that they do, and also the type of research methodology that they follow. So lots of researchers are good at qualitative or quantitative research, or sometimes both, and the student has to find the right match with that person. So that will be a match in terms of the content, the theme area, the subject area, as well as the type of advice that they can go and give them. So yeah, that's what we're doing. That's the agreement that we've got, that we're proceeding with APIT, is one from AIT and one from local supervisor as well.
Thanks, Doctor. there's a Kala from banking industry, and she's saying that she's already done almost 1.5 years of work in a local university, and now she wants to move into a global classroom, and I suppose she must be looking at a opportunity overseas to work. So she's asking, will there be any kind of exemptions that she would get maybe on this area of research methods in the case that she were to move from the local 1.5 years of work she has done and join AIT?
Okay, so exemption, the answer is maybe. So AIT has a policy that we can go through and allow people to transfer in 6 credits, as long as they've done almost identical courses when they've been on another PhD or DBA program. That's the exemption that we give. Without looking at the details of this person's background, it would be difficult for me to go through and say whether they would be given 6 credits of exemption for that. I've never seen anybody given an exemption so far, because it's most people come to AIT, if they have done a PhD or DBA, they haven't really done the research methods training to go through and get into that. So we'd have to take a very close look at the transcripts of the courses that person has done to see if we could go through and accept that transfer in. Okay.
Thanks, Doc. There's another question coming from Shamila, and she's saying, is there a possibility for us to, when we have holidays, to come over and maybe do a few semesters of studying from the main campus in Thailand?
Absolutely, we would encourage you to do that. We would like to see people visiting AIT to do their degrees. It's not something that is compulsory for the School of Management. It is compulsory for the other 2 schools because they have a lot of lab work that they require to do that. But we always encourage any of our School of Management students who are doing what we call flex mode, and 20% of our students are on flex mode. They don't live in Thailand, but many of them do come over for 1 week, 1 month, 1 semester to go through and do that. Yes, most of the teaching takes place in the downtown campus. It doesn't take place on the main campus. But yes, we certainly encourage people to go through and do that. And they get a student visa, of course, to come over to Thailand. Even if they come over for a brief amount of time, they go through and get that visa.
Maybe it's very good when in the write-up phase, or when you shape research, to come over for a couple of days to meet up with your supervisor, to use the library. That's sometimes a good idea. And Thailand is also a nice place to be for some time. So we really encourage to do that, but it's not mandatory.
A question is coming from Gayan. Dr. Roger, could you kindly tell us how does one progress from year 1 to 2 to 3? Because sometimes most DBAs and PhDs take almost 5 to 6 years. How can we approach in that perspective?
Okay, yeah. So your first year is your research methods classes, which count for you'll be doing 9 credits in that time. And we say to students that you should try and do that in your first year. You can pick up other MBA courses. So for DBA, you'll have to do 6 credits of MBA or MSc courses, which are relevant to the subject area you're interested in. So if you're interested in something like digital transformation, in year 2, we encourage you to go to some of the digital transformation courses, which happen on weekends, including a Friday afternoon, Saturday and Sunday, for 2 long weekends. That's when those type of courses take place. There are other type of courses that you can do online as well, what we call hybrid mode. So that's really the start of year 2. And then halfway through year 2, you do a special study. A special study is essentially a review of the literature of 1 or 2 key themes that you'd like to go through and focus on. But the big stage in a DBA is your advanced to candidacy, which is your first 3 chapters of your work. And we would like to see people complete that just before the end of their 2nd year. And once they've done that, then they can go through and complete their research. They need to get ethical approval, but they need to then do their research, and then they do their write-up. The reason that it's a bit quicker to do a DBA than a PhD is because it's not mandatory to go through and do a journal article to be able to graduate from AIT. And that can take a year off the amount of time it takes to do a doctoral degree. It really does add time if you have to do that for your PhD. So that's one of the reasons why it can be a little bit quicker. If you can publish, that's great, because that looks great. It looks really good on your CV. But yeah, that's how a 3-year DBA at AIT tends to work out.
There's a question coming in from Peter. He's saying, we know that Dr. R is a graduate from AIT. Is there a possibility for us to talk to a few people who are currently on the program from Sri Lanka?
That would be great for the next webinar. We've had regular webinars, haven't we, Dr. Rohanto? I think I've spoken about 4 times in the last 12 months about the DBA program to people that have a link to APIT. So we can do that. Yeah, we've got 6 students, and they've now spent about 6 months on the program. So that would be a great opportunity to hear from 1 or 2, but maybe we can go through and do that by the end of May.
Doc, that is all the questions I have got. Already 2 people have sent their applications in, and I think the offer letter has been given already from AIT, which Jani and Rochelle is following up. So we have another 5 who was interested in joining. So that takes us to 7. So what we do is we can have one more round, I think, on a working time, like maybe on a weekday at about, say, 11 to 12 o'clock kind of a thing during the week. Is that possible?
Absolutely. Yes, I'm happy to do that. And we have maybe 1 or 2 of the students in their 1st year joining us. If they can, that would be great.
Can do, Doctor. Rochelle, are you there? Rochelle?
Hello.
Hi, Rochelle, we can hear you. So Dr. Roger, Rochelle will be the focal point in Sri Lanka. So because Jani is also taken another responsibility of handling academic affairs for the postgraduate. So just to introduce Rochelle to you, Dr. Roger.
Okay, hi, Rochelle. Good to meet you.
Hi.
Okay, good. So I look forward to the session in May, and that's the session over, Dr. Rohanto, for now.
Yes, Doc, is it possible to kind of give a small overview of the, when you say global classroom, how does it work?
So when you say global classroom, I mean, so what do you mean by global classroom? Well, first of all, we have diversity across the School of Management, but you're talking about how do we currently do our teaching, and how does that look like in the future?
Yeah, like who is the kind of faculty and the kind of background that comes from, and secondly, of course, in the classroom you have the people from the Vietnams, and then there'll be people kind from other parts of the world, which gives kind of a rich experience.
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, faculty wise, I said earlier we have 40, but I think it's close to 50 or 60 faculty now, and there's no country that dominates. So you'd imagine that we're in Thailand, we might have a dominance of Thai faculty, but that's not the case. Of those 50 or 60, I would say we've got 5 or 6 who are Thai, but we've got tonight, we've got Tobias from Germany. I'm from the UK. We have faculty from, our head of our PhD DBA program is Dr. Badir, who's from North Africa. We have faculty and supervisors from the US, from Hong Kong, from Australia, from Singapore, from Denmark, from all over the place. So the faculty that's involved in the running of the School of Management is incredibly diverse. The students are not quite as diverse, but they're still diverse. When you look across all of our 370 students, you've got, I'd say about 40% are from Thailand, but the remaining 60% come from around about 20 other countries. So for the students that will be joining this particular program, although they'll be on what's called the APIT track, and they're likely to be mostly Sri Lankans together, you will have opportunities every 2 weeks to go through and mingle with the students that are on the other programs, which we have a regular guest speaker session that usually takes place on a Wednesday evening by somebody who is a chief executive type level from industry. And then we have some sort of mixer events with those on the other DBA programs. We have a DBA program in Hanoi, one in Ho Chi Minh City, so both of those in Vietnam. And then we actually have 2 programs a year that start in Bangkok, and the Bangkok program is quite multicultural, with students from Japan, from Korea, from Thailand, and from different parts of the world. We've got somebody this year who is senior manager for Agoda, who comes from Lebanon. And so that's the type of diversity that we get, and it's possible to go through and mix with those. We actually have a Sri Lankan student who's come over to stay in Bangkok for 1 semester, and he's met up with other classmates who are doing a DBA and he meets them in Bangkok for coffee chat, for research talks from time to time. So that's the type of experience that can be had, especially for those that have got the opportunity to take a break from work, or they can work remotely from Bangkok. Then yeah, that's the sort of thing that we see from our students at the moment.
Doctor, is there a facility, because there are a lot of people from Seychelles who are interested to follow the DBA, because we just recruited a person who handles industrial relations, a Sri Lankan student doing the master's, who is now from Seychelles. If that's possible, right?
Absolutely, without a doubt. We welcome, as long as they meet the conditions and that they can go through and cope with the DBA. They've got good English, they've got the GPA, they've got the experience. It's important to get the work experience. But yes, as long as they've got that, we would welcome people from the Seychelles. I don't think we've had a student from the Seychelles on the DBA before, so that would be lovely to see some people coming over from there to take this program.
Doctor, one last question. Would you like to give an idea about the costing? Okay,
so the costing of this particular DBA was set last year. It's I think it was a 67% discount. So so the price is normally 1.5 million baht, which is 50,000 USD, there or thereabouts. So at 65% discount is going to be closer to about 600. I think it was about 650,000 baht that we spoke about. And we have to go through and be financially feasible. We have to have 10 students on the program to make this work. With 10 students, that means that we could have some of the courses which will be on Zoom, and some of the courses which we would fly faculty into Colombo to go through and do teaching. So that would be the type of price point. That really is, we don't usually give out more than a 20 or 30% discount for students on a DBA program. But given the COVID situation and given the problems that have been happening in Sri Lanka for the last 2 years, then we feel that this is the maximum amount that we can go through and give, and yet still make sure the program is operational. So that's the cost. We have a flexible payment plan, so people can go through and they don't have to pay over every semester. They can spread it out for a little bit more than that. They can go through and pay maybe 5 times a year rather than once or twice a year. So there is a payment plan that we can go through, and we're open to flexibility for that type of thing. I mean, I realize that the cost of the program, even with the 65% discount, is still very much given the decrease or the problems with the Sri Lankan economy and currency at the moment. But we're hoping that towards the end of this year, this will be something which is going to be affordable for the people that can go through and take this. So yeah, that's the type of cost.
Thank you, Dr. Roger, and I think it was very comprehensive. What we will do is we'll within the next 3 weeks, we'll have another session. This will be available all on our website, and we will also share it on different social media, so that the penetration of the idea goes into the rest of it. And then we'll also share a few thoughts with the key companies that we have. So we'll do that, and we'll. We are committed for the 10 people to come into the program, and we can move forward, Dr. Roger.
Thank you very much, Dr. Hunter. Thank you. And thanks everybody else joining us this evening. Bye for now, Dr. Hunter. Take care.
Thank you so much, Kaushali.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you
Thank
very
you
much,
so much.
Doctor.
Thank
Indeed.
you.
Thank you
care.
so much for joining us. And as you said, we will be looking forward to have few more students joining us, getting to know, in order to get to know information first. And we are going through a little bit of challenges, but that's the reason that, not many can join at this moment. But as Dr. Ohanta very clearly said, we have these recordings available so that you can get through to that. If not, we will also be having another session very soon for your information so that you can be informed and take this decision. So thank you very much for joining with us, and that ends the session for the day. We'll meet back again in another week's time. Until then, do take care and good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
Doctor. Take care.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye, sir.